Hi fellow classmates of Count 150. Today I decided to talk a little bit about a topic that could be very controversial, but one could also pick one side or the other and run with it. When given the persuasive prompt, I had a hard time picking a topic, believe it or not. I didn't really have a topic I was dead set on right away, but there was a topic that I wanted to learn more about and felt very strongly about because of personal experience. Hence why I decided to speak on a topic of the educational system and how I believe it lacks consideration for young children's development. Some may rebut this argument by saying, what does a child need a second language for? Or what if it causes negative effects against their native language? Or even, learning disabilities may not be present that early and a student may not have the comprehension level for that. Playing devil's advocate, I can see how these could all be very valid reasons. But research has shown that from birth to age 3, children are in the developing learning skills stage, and they are very in tune to new information. Research has overwhelmingly supported teaching a second language earlier in life because, as we know, it's harder to learn a second language later in life. Of course, you can always learn a second language later in life, but it takes more time and becomes more challenging since your brain is past the developmental stage. Not to mention that the educational traveling opportunities that are offered or the multiple jobs in need of bilingual speakers. There are so many jobs that offer not just experiences you can only get once in a lifetime, but the pay raises you can get just for knowing another language is crazy. Your future job may not even use a second language, but managers are always looking for translators in all fields, as not all Americans can speak English. Not to mention that America gets most of their imports from foreign countries who may not have salesmen that speak English. Personally, looking in my past education, I wish my parents would have put me in a bilingual school growing up, as I would have had more job opportunities that are in very high demand. But instead, I went to a public school where I was forced to learn a foreign language starting in high school. This was very hard to comprehend. This development of this language showed in my grades. I feel very strongly about this topic because I could have gotten more money to pay for college, as this was a deciding factor in my grade point average. Another downside to only learning English is that America is quickly closing the gap between the minorities and the majority. As we all have seen thus far in our education, we are taught the basics, or what the government feels are the building blocks for all children to know as they grow. Classes like history, science, math, English are all these so-called basic classes that every child in America is taught to learn as they further their education throughout the years. Although these classes may be necessary to the government, there are just some things you can't teach out of a textbook, such as cooking and nutrition, budgeting and taxes, the basics of childcare, sewing, cleaning hacks, and so much more that will be of real benefit to a child's future. Just like the learning of a second language, there could be rebuttals against this too, such as, these type of classes don't cater to a student's specific needs. Teachers just prepare ahead of time what they're going to teach and don't make changes. This is a very weak argument, as regular required classes just like science, math, history, English are all the same way, but one still may rebut with this. These permanent life skills will allow for a more organized and efficient household as the students grow older, and will empower them to know their capabilities and become active members of society. Even though schools offer these classes, they are not required, nor are they offered at all schools or to all students. I personally have firsthand experience with this, as I am not able to cook worth a lick. We did have a home ec class, as well as a managing money class, but these classes were only available to students with learning disabilities or advanced math class students. Shouldn't this be a necessity over classes like music appreciation or art class? Like, what skills are you going to learn from those classes that are going to help you in your everyday life? All in all, I believe action should be taken by the school boards and by the government to find funding for these subjects in order for adolescents to learn new skills, develop into more functional adults, and create a more positive impact on future generations.